Well, we are really excited to have you. Your poem really struck a chord with us when we read it. We instantly, Cassian and I are very attuned, syntonized with how we select the poetry, like how we connect with the truth behind it and the sentiment. And I think you had us from the get go with a gasoline breath, and you just, held the
Right.
air suspended. That was a stroke of a great pen. So please tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Okay, let me preface a couple things for everybody that's watching. I'm still really uncomfortable with being on camera, but I wanted to share. And also, I had a responsibility because of the contest. So I kind of compromised and put some lighting there. Hopefully, I'll get around to where it's a common thing, but it's nothing I've ever done. And the second thing is, you two feel free. My wife, I've shared this poem before. I don't know if you saw it, not a poem, but a limerick. My dad told me to shut up. My kindergarten teacher said I had verbal diarrhea. My wife says I'm a verbal hot fire hose, and my son says if I had a American native name, it would be he who talks too much. So if I get going away, feel free to pull in the reins. And then other than that, my name is Victor. I'm 56 years old. Let's see, what can I tell you real quick? Basically, the writing has came around within the last 6 or 7 months. For my entire life, I was masking, high level masking. I learned from trauma and things at an early age and my ADHD to mask. I did well with, wherever I went, I can blend anywhere, whether it's politics or high level business or hanging out in a rough area. I tell people I'm just trying to now to figure out who I really am because I've always been trying to be something for somebody else. So with these writings and all of this, I've just really been like, okay, this is a way I can express myself because when I'm talking to you guys or whatever, I'm watching facial features, I'm watching tone adjustments and trying to adjust me to be you. But when I do it, when I'm writing, there's no one but myself to look back. That's that only mirror. Um, a little bit more, just real quick. I'm married, have 3 grown kids. My youngest just got engaged. The other 2 are doing great. They're range from 24 to 30. Right now, we lived the last 10 years in Seattle, and we moved here to take care of my mother-in-law who's sick right now. And we've been here about a year. And so we're in St. Louis right now. And that kind of, you can guide the conversation from here.
Okay, so what it's
So,
very relatable your experience. A lot of us writers, we write through our pain to make sense of it all. We have that, um, from whatever the words come from, uh,
Right.
but in order to guide us through it. And several of us did suppress that for many years, and then made came to terms with this artistic expression and allowed themselves to write. And I think that's a beautiful thing that you're here now. You just want to chat
Thanks.
and you just started writing and you wrote something really touching and beautiful. So Cassian, you have a question?
yeah. So you told me, and I think you've told us, that you have only done a few poems so far. You started writing poetry very, very recently.
Right.
So when did you begin to write poetry, and what motivated you to start?
Kind of all ties together, but I wrote a poem a long time ago when my dad died back in about 2004, 2005. It was heavy grief. Um, then recently, I wrote some poems for fun to see if I could do it, a couple. Then the next 2 I entered in your contest to see was I even worth doing. I want to be a modern day Renaissance man. I wrote this in a post today or yesterday, but I'm 56. Realistically, as an American male, I have 20 years left. That's it. I got 20 years to do anything I can. So when I do poetry, it's can I do it and be successful at it? I want to be good. I just don't want to do it and throw it in the corner. I built a deck in the spring. Never did it before, but people are shocked by how good it is. I'm a perfectionist because of my ADHD and my trauma. So when I do the poems, or my writings and essays and all this other stuff in general, it's wanting to do everything possible. And that goes to food and everything else. I only got 20 years left. I'm going to live. And
Well, I'm sure you will outlive us. Okay, you're gonna go far. There's no
you
20
don't know my
years. You're
path,
gonna
but
pass
I hope so.
100%. We're gonna be positive here, and we're gonna.
No, I know,
And
but
I believe that spirit that you're showcasing right there, that's the spirit of a writer. You want to make a connection. You want to leave words behind that will be meaningful to your experience and say, I was here, I was present, I connected with other human beings. And that's a beautiful thing. And that's what poetry does so well. Cassian?
Luciana, yeah, if I may. You said you were a perfectionist, and you were a perfectionist what you write, poetry, essays. Do you want to tell us if there's an average amount of time that it takes you to write a poem, and especially for this poem that you wrote, that you won with? Do you want to tell us how that went? Was it done over different periods of time, different days, or did you write it in one sitting?
Actually, the way I
Tell us
write is
more.
probably completely different than most people. Well, not most people, most non-neurodivergent. Sorry, let me get a drink. I think the way that I write is common probably among neurodivergent people, but I drop into that hyper focus mode and
Mm,
just focus on what I'm doing and finish it right then and there because I know if I go away from it, the chances are good I'm probably not going to come back to it. That's changed since I got on my ADHD meds, but I still try to focus on that because I have up until really long story short, I was mixed diagnosed as bipolar for 10 years, heavily medicated to where I didn't leave the house for 10 years. The last 10 years before coming here, so from 46 to 56, I was mentally numb. All I did was watch Netflix, YouTube, just consume media. So sometimes when I write, I have to make sure it's not something I read or consumed because that for 10 years, that's all you do. I'd go out once a week with my wife and that was about it. So
Right.
then, so when I do it, if I get on the mood, I ride it as far as I call it like riding the wave. I want to ride that wave all the way to the shore because if I
Flow.
don't, I'm probably not going to catch another one.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what we call the flow. You want to be
Yeah.
in the flow. You want to get it through right there and then be able to put everything out. And I appreciate that. Sometimes I am able to access that flow as well when
Yeah.
the Trinity aligns, which is rare, but it happens to us writers.
For
So
me, it's very similar. Yeah. Like I get in a specific zone, and once I'm in that zone, I get most of it done. Usually I go back because I'm also a perfectionist when it comes to my poetry and just do some edits, a lot of editing sometimes, but yeah, most of it is written in one sitting.
Up until the last 2 weeks when if you want to talk about it later or whatever, I don't have my computer set up to show, but I do have a weekly schedule now. But up until then, I was just throwing stuff and I didn't do edits. Now I'm not an editor. I mean, I can see it. I can do it. It's not a problem. I hate doing it. I hate rereading my work. I had to go back and reread the poem before we got on because I don't ever read anything again. Um, so I am now, since I started my new schedule, to take a second run to make sure there's a good flow, to take out the pieces that don't need to be there or reword them just to make a stronger connection between two pieces. So for me, it's not a huge editing process. I would love to have somebody that wants to help me edit. Right now, I do run stuff through ChatGPT because it'll catch things I didn't catch. But again, I'm not line by line editing. I'm just making some minor adjustments because
I
I
think
never.
one of our guests right here, out of their mind, just said he writes and releases, and that's so true. When you're able to let a piece go, for some of us, we go back a week later, a month later, 3 months later, and keep editing until we find. But your ability to release is very touching and relatable to some other writers as well. And I thank you for sharing that. It's very brave to do that and very vulnerable to do that. Um,
It's raw. It's usually more raw and visceral, and
The thing about it is, especially after masking for 56 years, it's really, I'm going to be funny but serious. It's a combination of the meds, the correct medication on a low dose. I do smoke cannabis. It helps with the pain, but it also helps me in other ways. It slows down my mind enough. And then ChatGPT I can use to pull ideas from all these connected threads I pulled in it to pull it back together. I don't have it write it for me, but it sees all these things and threads that come together to help me build the story. I wanted to talk about frostbite, so I asked questions because I'm writing my memoirs, and it
so
had. Oh, go ahead.
when we pick the poetry, we don't see the names or whatever snippets you guys send. We solely focus on the poetry. We focus
Right.
on the work. So when we saw yours, it stood out. I did later when we got to the email, we did see that you put a note about your neurodivergency and your editing and minimal use of AI and stuff like that. And we felt that it did not detract from the poem. We did not feel that it was written by the machine or someone else. It felt that it was your emotions, but it did aid you in be able to edit,
Right.
right? So,
Pretty much editing,
but
yes.
just to be clear, so I just took an ethical class of the use of AI at NYU, and one of the things the professor said to us was, back in the day, Rodin had other students that would do the chisel. Michelangelo did not paint the Sistine Chapel himself. That was the use of technology, and technology at the time wasn't ChatGPT, but it was the use of other humans to help construct the vision the artist had. So right now, what we felt just did for you was do exactly that, aid you, but not replace you. So we thank you for that and for your honesty. And I think it does not detract for the beauty you created. It was very, very touching pool.
I kind of compare it to people weren't really comfortable with the writing, the printing press when they went, because now all kinds of people have control of what I think AI is doing if used ethically and properly, because a lot of people just throw up a bunch of schlock that they can just throw on
And
there.
we can tell, throughout this process, we have had to not qualify it, some of the poetry, because we feel like it does, it takes the agency from the writer, and it's slightly soulless and more mechanical. And we dissect the poetry. Cassian is an avid dissector. We feel very connected to the work that we do. We do it for the love that we have. We want to build this community, and we are very keen on dissecting every part in pieces of metaphors, use of language, of the poetry we received. We are passionate about this project. So thank you. And yes, thank you for everyone's writing on a chat right now. Cassian, you have a question?
Yeah. Um, would you care to share what your writing ritual looks like, if anything? Like, do
Usually,
you take up
whether it's a
quiet?
whether it's a poem or okay, just come back to the poem for a minute. The way I did that, I saw that the thing, and we shared it in the thing you sent out. You shared that, but I sat down and I said, okay, I want to enter this contest. The theme is ice. And to be honest, I looked at the poems that won and saw that it's a visceral feeling. People want to read that, and most people don't like to think it, but most of us do carry a darkness in some way, or memories that we don't want to see. So when someone expresses them, they're like, oh, I feel a little bit better because someone else went through that, or maybe their situation was worse. So when I sat down, I started thinking about what's the biggest emotional thing. And when I wrote my memoir so far, I'm only to about 15, and they're not long. It's really hard because I don't write it fast. It's a long process. But hold on just a second. Okay, so when I wrote the poem, I looked back and I said, okay, what's the most vulnerable time? I was a child. And when I wrote my memoirs, there were just little snippets in the way I wrote it because I don't have those memories. But as I sat there and started writing, those memories started coming back. And
And
then I
that's
was
a
able
very
to,
common way to process trauma. I think that's one of the things. I am a cancer patient, and I just wrote a book as well. This is not something to be mentioned here, but I'm having a connection with the breasties.org, which is a community that I work with, and we're building a creative writing chat exactly to help people to process trauma. Sometimes we repress trauma so much, and our artistic forms that we allow ourselves
right.
to express or so, the trauma will come up. When once we begin the writing. So that's very raw and honest.
But other things like the essays and stuff, I do a series right now called Working the Floor. It's a nonfiction look at a call center life that I lived for 8 years. I have very distinct periods in my life. If we have time and we can talk about it, you want to hear just a brief, but I worked as a call center manager that turned out to be 125 people. And most of them were from the inner city or from different areas of St. Louis, and they didn't have a lot of money. They were working for very little. And I share that trauma through vignettes. But when I sat down, I just kind of start, okay, who do I remember? And then I start writing and I think, oh, that person, what happened? And then I describe them. Then I put it in the,
That's great. Access
boom.
great memory. Yeah. To draw from it to be able to write. So it feels like throughout your poem, at the end of your poem, there wasn't a clear resolution. It was more of a understanding that the trauma exists. It didn't have a hero at the end. It was just that you had to sit with that uncomfortable, like, this is the reality of what the trauma was.
Right.
So how do you think healing requires always this type of confrontation or resolution, or do you sit with this and let it breathe?
For me, and I can only speak for me. I can only put the writer in my a reader in my mindset. I didn't have a hero. There was nothing there. Like I said, I have the distinct periods. When I was 15, I just couldn't take it anymore, and I left home. And I mean, I had friends that I stayed with and stuff, but I went home occasionally. And there was a brief period where I was home for about 6 months, but there was never a happy ending. My dad did quit drinking, but he didn't become a nice man. They had eaten him alive. And from what I'm learning now, he had a lot of trauma that led to that. And that's why I'm so careful when I write. I put you in a place, whether it's essays or writing, tell you what I think, give you some examples, and let you make your own discretion, because I can't tell you how to live your life. I can't take care of my own. How can I tell someone I don't know how to live their life? People want to tell people how to live their life. All right, my writing, the best way to thing is that quote I wrote. I write people. I write to get. I don't write to tell people what to think. I write to get
yes.
people to think, because I can't make you think, and you have your own lens you look through. You're never going to see it the same way I do. So I just try to write from the heart emotionally and just leave it there. And what happens happens. And if I get hung and quartered someday, then I guess it happens.
So, we appreciate you for all of that. You see, it doesn't matter your age. It matters the fact that you connected with your soul, you connected with your inner child, and you're letting your art come out. And not only you are writing and releasing it, but you're allowing yourself to process traumas that perhaps were hidden, underneath the surface for so long. So let's say your a handle on Substack is bent but true. What does that phrase mean to you, and how does it show up in your art?
Um, what it started out was I was doing videos on YouTube and just thinking about my life. I've always had the same truth. I mean, let me be careful how I say that. I'm always true to who I am behind the scenes. I never, even if I'm people pleasing, I'm never going to do something to harm someone else. I'm not going to. I've been through churches. I was pastoring, youth pastoring in churches for about 15 years or so, and seen a lot of horrible things. But it bent my perception of what I thought, but I've remained true to the Lord, the God I follow. That's the same thing in my walk of daily life, the things I do. I've been battered and beat. And like I said, there's been so many segments, and I think it happens to a lot of us that uh, had dealt with trauma, neurodivergence, add that to not a lot of financial stability, not because we didn't make smart decisions, but because we've always given our money to help everybody. If somebody needed a place to stay, a kid, we'd bring them in for a month.
Okay, so now we're gonna will you in. We're gonna do that thing that you asked us to do in the beginning.
Okay. I get it.
Okay, because
I get it.
we're moving in several directions here, and we really want to shine a light on you and your work, not all these other distractive things that were outside. So, right now, what do you see yourself going with your writing next? What are you trying to build?
I'm trying to build Substack. Right now, I'm letting everybody know and share with your friends up until August 15th. Everything, if you sign up, you're free for life, because I want to build the foundation. I'm not really about the idea of making money on Substack and that kind of stuff. I want to release it to people that can read it. But I would like to bring some of the things. Mondays, I write what I call fairy tales for the damaged. I want to take that and put it into uh, the Forbidden Tales, the Forbidden Grimoire or something like that, and release them, because they're dark fairy tales. The Breckens There's Two series I might turn into a book.
Okay, Victor, breathe. Be calm. We have time. We're
That's
here.
just the way I am.
That's
just who I am. That's why I don't like videos.
Come. No, you're very welcome here, and we're very trying to make this very accommodating and calm space for you to share your work. And we would love, not only now you said that you are doing your Substack, Free for Life, you want new subscribers. Do you see yourself publishing a book? Do you apply for competitions around the world? I know it's been only 7 months, but it seems like you've been doing quite well for a short 7 months.
With my ADHD, I've already thought out a billion different things. It's just deciding which way I want to go. Like I said, the fairy tales thing, I would like to publish. I'm going to keep doing it. I have like 10 for the first and then go on, but I have different ones to add later. I've written some books on identity. I have some novellas on identity. I have nothing to do right now. So I write. And so, yes, I'll publish. I'll probably self-publish most of it, so I keep control.
And about the fairy tales, give us a little sneak peek, one little short snippet for one.
The first one was Cinderella with Glass Slippers. It's talking about how people complain about the people in power, where she was so upset with her stepmother, but she carried into when she became queen. She never healed from that, and it became she became just like her stepmother, but only as a ruler.
Oh, so we got a twisted dark side.
All of it's twisted. All of them are twisted and dark. All of them are twisted and dark. But they're not. They're not telling people. It's again, look at yourself. Are you doing this? And then lately, I've added to the bottom organizations that are attached to that subject, so they can look. There'll be ones about body image, abuse. Everything I write usually is about changing the world for a better. In my ideas.
Yeah. I sometimes find it useful to, I mean, if you're gonna post on Substack, to give a little question at the end or something to frame it that way. But yeah, I'm sure you're gonna do a great job as well on that because, like you said, you're a perfectionist and you have so many ideas. You're gonna take this.
Yeah, I already
You're
have
gonna
like 8 of them written. If I just hyper focus each day, I'll pick one. I'll pick a fairy tale and start brainstorming in my head.
So are you going to use all the Disney princesses?
No, it changes because it goes to Aladdin, then it goes to Hansel and Gretel. I have written. I have the Frog Prince,
That
Rapunzel.
sounds very interesting. I am super curious to see where you take. I know throughout, we have Wicked on Broadway, which is rewriting of the Wizard of Oz, right? Like a
Okay,
a
right.
prequel, to be honest. And it's one of the most famous running shows ever. So there's other artists out there doing new takes on princesses and Disney's fairy tales, and having extreme successes and shocking people and causing new discussions. So this is very exciting to hear.
Thank you.
Cassian, you have another question?
I wanted to open the panel like to the audience if to see if there's any questions that people have. So you can type them in the chat. Sal, I know you had a question, I think.
Out of my dim mind, also had some really good comments out there.
I'm not sure.
Frozen screen. No, Sal just said,
No.
oops, frozen screen.
In the meantime, Victor, do you want to tell us perhaps how do you set up your environment when you're writing? Like, do you put music? Do you like to work silently? Like, do you work in a specific space in a specific office? Like, where do you do your writing?
Wherever. I wrote one in the hospital the other day while I was waiting on an appointment. I just have to make sure nobody's around me. That's the only key. It can be outside, it can be inside. I just have to make sure there's not distractions when I go into hyper focus mode. When I get frustrated with my wife, she'll come in with something important. It's not her fault and ask me to do something. I'm like, oh, I'm just in the middle of this. And if I stop, I might not get back to it. So I make sure, like, I was at the doctor's appointment about 30 minutes early. So I just started writing and got half or about a third of the way through something I was trying to write. So it's just more about not human distractions.
So
Right.
solitude and silence to be able to focus on what the message is that you're
Not
trying.
necessarily silence, more solitude, because it can be, like I said, I can be in a doctor's office or I can have the stereo cranking. I just need not the human distractions or our pets either.
We love the pets. We love the pets. We just had my dogs barking here. Thank you, Victor, for loving dogs too. I'm glad my dogs are not disturbing right now. So we do have some questions. Do you see them?
Yeah, how do you rein in the burst of creativity is what Sal asked. Notice not the burst of energy, but the burst of creativity.
It gets hard. Sometimes I'll start one thing and end up changing it completely halfway through because I just go with what I'm thinking. But I've also realized as I'm trying to provide a structure, say it's fairy tale for the damage, each one's consistent in structure. And so I've had to come back and rein the creativity in. I don't stop writing, but I do have to say how far like I'm speaking, how far off track am I? So the creativity can run that if that's the answer, if that's the question you're asking.
Well, we just had here a comment for you. The neurodivergent minister said, I just want to say that your writing inspires me to write more and tell my story, bent but true. You see, that's you already having a ripple effect, affecting other people and inspiring other people.
I see a comments from Salary on the bottom of that says, but isn't it like a brain dump? I would say kind of, but not complete. I don't write until I have about half the idea formed into my head. I get a lot of it where I want to go, then I go in and fill it in. So yeah, it is a brain dump, but it's done before I put it on paper.
Well, I also use brain dumps to clear my mind. I do
Right.
a mindful
Yeah.
meditation class with the New Orleans Poetry Cafe and the American Society of Poetry and the New York Poetry Society, where before we write, we do this crazy dumping. We have to write everything that crosses our mind before having the first meditation and then writing poetry. It's a super exciting class, which eventually I will invite you guys to participate because it's amazing. And I have written amazing work through this process.
For me, if I did that, honestly, I probably would never stop writing. It would be nonstop. I tell people, it's like,
Maybe we don't want you to stop writing.
well, I mean, when I sit down, I tell people my brain is literally like watching 100 TVs on a wall, and I can watch any given one of them and know what's going on. I mean, watch all of them at the same time and know what's going on. But then when I tune into one,
You
it kind
have
of
a
slows me. Yeah. So
That's your superpower. That's a superpower. And I don't want to be plugging this here, but this is why we have. It's so funny because Elzada was our first winner and she has autism. I am dyslexic. And now you're saying that you are also neurodivergent. So you have ADHD. And when we first set out in this course with this project, we wanted to allow neurodivergent voices. And without knowing your names, without knowing your specific situations, because as I said before, we're very clear how we read the poem separating for the name of, and handles to be very fair in our judging. We did not know this, and still we found neurodivergent sports that got first place, and so we're really very thrilled to have this alignment from the get go. So I have a question here from Sal. Sal says, "How do you rein in the burst of creativity?"
Oh, we already asked that
Oh,
one.
sorry, he just did that.
Yeah. First, you can go through. There will be.
Sorry.
Yeah. Does anyone else have any questions in the meantime?
I will say kind of on the neurodivergent thing, everybody wants to cure it or fix it. And the more I watch and the more I read, we can do amazing things. We have to learn to rein it in. And there's a lot more of us out there than people know, but you have to learn to control it. And I still can't control it. I'm still dialing in the medications. I've only been on the medications for 5 months and I found out I had HDA 9 months ago. So it's blending that. And again, on that same line for me, the ADHD meds help me focus, but they don't slow down the fire that rages in my brain of constant thousands of ideas. And that's what the cannabis does. It tones it down and lets me kind of just calm the firing pistons.
No judgment here. I understand about the medication. I also, when I'm really nervous and I have to take an exam, so the letters are dancing on the screen as it's just like it's person, the letters will scramble, and it looks like dancing letters. Really, phrases or everything is transpositions. And I have been medicated several times to do my writing as well and to take exams. Lately, I went to a neurologist and got my paperwork so I can have accommodations to have more time. But our brain also has, those little glitches. And so we're not broken. We're just different.
Oh, right.
But eventually we will speak about this, but that's the passion behind Ink, Fire, and Rebellion Wearable Truths, which is the clothing line that we are putting together for the Ink, Fire, and Rebellion, that you are going to own your truth. I have been so fortunate after saying that I'm dyslexic, after hiding it for most of my life. I have been so fortunate to make real connections with people and to accept myself. So yes, you are wonderful as you are.
Thanks. And I know that. I didn't know that for 56 years. And again, I didn't know I had ADHD. It's always, why ain't I good enough? Or somebody recently told me, and it's irrelevant, and I know that, but they told me, you're almost perfect. I don't mean that. And not perfect. That's not the word they use, but you almost have it all together because I can do all these things, but I've never chosen to put it together. But that's the way people think, and they don't understand that we can do things I can set down to this morning before we got on our lawnmower was my mother-in-law's lawnmower was broke. They wanted to go buy a $400 new one. And I said, no, let me take it apart and look. And immediately I figured it out. Never touched a lawnmower before, but took some pictures with AI, took it apart, started looking at it, figured out it was something simple and it's going to cost $20 instead of 400. So we have superpowers. We're there. You probably read this and I will, it just ties into it. So I'm not rambling just so you know, but, we're the hunter gatherers. We aren't made to sit in a 9 to 5 job. We can't, or most of us, we turn into something else to be that, but we're stifling who we are. We're stifling our creativity. We're not allowed to change
Preach,
the
preach.
world.
Preach. That is absolutely true. Recently, I also had the pleasure of having a podcast interview where somebody asked me this question, and my answer was, we do jobs. Yes, some people have a calling to be a doctor, thankfully, and to do great and wonderful things in this economic model. I'm an economist as well, so I do understand what I'm speaking of. Um, but in reality, to the core of our soul as human beings, we came here to be creative, to express ourselves. So I find so much solace and comfort in being on Substack. All the writing that we receive, Cassian and the connections that he has built, it feels like is a little spark on our soul. Regardless if we have subscribers, paying subscribers or not,
Right.
we are being seen and heard and communicating and building meaningful connections to people. And I think that is priceless. And you did that this challenge.
Thank you.
Indeed. Motherhood asked, how long have you been in Substack and how did you find Substack in the first place?
Um, honestly, the main thing has been how can we came here without going into a lot of drama. We came here from Seattle to take care of my wife's mother. Like I said, I'm disabled. My wife's always because of the bipolar diagnosis, but my back and knee are shot too. That's why I said 20 years is a long time for me. But so we were here and I'm like, how can I make some extra money on the side? We do a little bit of eBay reselling, but not a lot. And then I found out about Fiverr. So I was like, well, I know I could do that. And then I found out about Substack and I came on here, well, let me build my craft so I can go back to Fiverr and make money. And Substack is just a way to reach people and touch people. But Fiverr is the way to financially support myself.
Yeah. Nice.
The dream of every writer, right? To be able to live from our craft in our lifetime.
Well, I'm at the point, like I said, I haven't, because of that, I've been disabled for 10 years, so I haven't worked. So it's, to me, I'm luckier than 95% of the people out there. Because though I do have the abilities, it hasn't affected my brain. I can't run and do the things I wanted to. I can still hike and those kind of things for a while, like I like. But it hasn't, now that I'm on the right meds, my brain is firing like a Ferrari. I joke, I told my wife, I have a Ferrari body and Fred Sanford's old truck.
Do you want to plug in your Fiverr account after this interview is over?
I just really put up a couple and I'm going to go back and redo it. I've decided to focus on Substack until August when I go to put up a private paywall, and then I'll put up something for my subscribers where they can get a $5 story so they can give legitimate reviews, but not do something free where I'm faking it because I want it to be real. And once you get any of those platforms, once you get some reviews, about 10 or 12, it starts to take off. So I'll wait till then, but thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Of course.
It is bent but true if you ever want to look it up. But
yeah,
it is bent but truth. Yeah.
That's my tag. That's pretty much what I'm using, and everything is bent but true. It all ties together. It says who I am, and I don't want to ever promote myself. It's more about what I write, not who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How did that name come across to you? How did you decide this is the perfect name for?
We talked about it a little bit earlier, but it was just the fact that I started thinking about, man, life has bent me so many different ways over the years. I was a youth pastor for years. I worked in a corporate environment for years. I was on the streets for years. I was in the Marine Corps. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And I've done and been successful everywhere I was. But life bent me in so many different ways, so many turns and tweaks, and I still have tried to remain true to my truth.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you, because a lot of people have joined since you said that.
Right.
So it's
right.
great to have. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we all have incredible life experiences. We are all traveling through the journey in very specific pathways that, we all have something, if we allow ourselves to be a vessel and a channel, to translate our experiences into art, that we can impact, people's lives and leave a legacy behind. I really believe in that. as a person that has been fighting cancer for the past 5 years, this is what I try to do in my book as well. So I can extremely relate to you. And I think most writers can. We want to connect. We want to write. Cassian is a perfect writer for when he writes about love and passion and
Right.
connection. It's electrifying. He has a gift for that. So yeah, all of us, we have our innate talents. And yes, I think the world is just waiting for all of us to allow ourselves, to give ourselves permission to bring it into the world. And we are thankful that you did that. You know how difficult it is.
One of the main decisions that I started doing that was I realized most people, or more people than anybody thinks, have these issues, but we all mask all the time. So everybody thinks everybody else is normal, so they never want to open up. So I decided I'm just going to be raw, lay it out there. Like I said, maybe I'll live to be 76, maybe I'll be lived to 96, but I'm at a point it just doesn't matter anymore. I finally decided that I'm going to write what I write. I'm still horrible at masking when I'm around people because I don't like confrontation. But when I write, it is what it is. And if you don't like it, you don't have to read it.
Do you have any advice for the people here in terms of that?
I think just trust yourself. If you know it's true and you're not trying to convince someone of something to think like you, then put it down there. Again, when I share my problems or when I share these things, there are either people in my life and how I react to them, or things I've done in my life and how did I handle them. And even in the fairy tales, you'll see that as you start reading them. If you anybody that starts to read them, there's always a little bit of me tied into there. I won't go into all that, but anyway. So I try to remain. I say to each of you, just if it's true, it's your truth, because we all have different truths because we look through different lenses. I like to keep saying that. But if it's your truth, and you just drop it on there. What's the worst that can happen? If you feel like people are always like, oh, they're going to say bad things. They're just some person that can't say anything in person, so they hide behind a screen. For my writing, sometimes I'll go to Twitter just to get ideas because it's such a cesspool, because everybody feels comfortable because they're hiding behind a name and nobody can see their face. And it's the same thing. Nobody can see us. Let's share our truth. Sorry for the language, but screw what anybody thinks. Share your truth.
You know what? That is a little uh, I think Cassian asked you before, how do you do about writing? How do you set the tone? But you're saying now, Sharon, that you sometimes go to Twitter to find inspiration. Some great writers do that. What's her name? Shonda, Shonda. She wrote
Yeah.
Bridgertown. She
Yeah.
says that too, that she gets the newspaper and she goes through the headlines and to find inspiration to write new TV shows. And she's one of the most famous writers of TV shows there ever was. So that's a good advice right there. You didn't mean to say it, but yeah, that it's look for sources of inspiration sometimes outside yourself and try to relate to other people's experiences and put yourself in their shoes. Or
Yeah,
put your,
I think that's the important part, and that's the biggest thought is putting yourself. We can always tell someone else what to think, but we don't know the life experiences they lived. We don't know what happened behind closed doors that they'll never talk about. Um, Even the worst people. I used to love to watch Criminal Minds, just to watch the profiling because I
I'm
like to learn
addicted to
people. I like to watch people. I want to learn how they think. I could be that guy that says, I know this, my son said, my son was so angry with me for saying this, but I said, I could sit across from someone like Jeff Epstein to find out why, to try to find out why they did what they did. Probably not, probably never going to find out, but just in case it can help someone else down the road, I'm willing to walk into that darkness for a little while because I know I can walk out.
Well,
Uh,
I think that's a very deep, deep, deep subject that we are going to try to stay.
No, I know. I just an example. I didn't mean him. I can be Charles Manson.
You know, yeah, those are heavy, heavy subjects and a little bit outside of our scope here today, which is this afternoon to shine light in your work. So we are thinking, do you have a piece, a new one, or something that you'd like to share with us before we let you go?
This week we had I'm running the weekly series, but I just released yesterday, like I said, Working the Floor. I think that's more of a common man's relate, but it still touches on a lot of things that we saw when we worked, and the people in the situations they're in financially or emotionally, and that comes out in all my work. So that was Friday. That's called Working the Floor, and then on Monday I'll release the next
Oh, wait.
series.
So does that mean you have protest poetry as well? Activist poetry?
Not yet. It may
Ah.
come. I've realized I never thought I'd be an
I too.
activist.
I'm an economist, so I have a lot of the niche that I found in my intersections that I do not publish on Substack. I have in different channels, but I do write sometimes activists and poetry that I hope to ignite a little something. Poetry is an art form that's been here forever, and it's not always about love and just connection, but also about shedding light into social problems and
Definitely.
trying to achieve
And
different.
that might be where I take poetry, because again, I guess I never did it before, but I guess at 56 I'm becoming a social activist.
I've
That's
definitely,
Not to
yeah,
going out and marching guy, but sharing my truths and trying to get people to think.
I've definitely done some of that, and it is quite controversial. Sometimes you'll get like someone unsubscribe, but a few people have told me like, no, like those are the people that are worth
Right.
staying, sticking, and they'll keep following and reading your work. So
Right.
yeah, I encourage you to do that for sure.
I think as long it's always going to be controversial. And I agree with you, Cassian. But I think like if you're bold enough to do it, like and unafraid to lose fall, I did lose quite a few as well. But to be the vessel and to honor the core of your message, so you don't lose yourself. I think Nina Simone said it best when she said it is a job of an artist to reflect the times. So sometimes I don't want to shy away. Yes, I'm speaking about my life experience and connections and perhaps some trauma, but I also want to be that kind of artist that is leaving behind the legacy of
Indeed.
being the
Yeah.
witness, the eyewitness to the times we're living in. So living
And
the
in some way, yeah, I do feel like it is our responsibility as people that
as
can
artists. Yeah.
communicate with words. Like we should be the ones to carry some of these conversations forward.
Yep.
Oh my God, will this be your next challenge prompt, perhaps?
It probably
Next
will.
week?
I'm looking for something to do on Tuesdays, so I may start on Tuesdays about doing activist poetry now. Who knows?
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe we integrate something like that. I know ICE, we did give a lot of leeway. Cassian and I were talking about it, like let's leave it up to the writers how they're going to pick if it's going to be metaphorical or lyrical or precise or maybe take political. And we had poetry in all directions, which is really interesting to see your creative processes. But maybe, yeah, we will try to do that. Cassian, what do you think?
I think that would be exciting. Like I said, I have written some poetry like that, and I would love to see people's take or more, yeah, social
Oh, yeah,
ideas.
something's brewing. I feel something brewing.
Because a lot of times I feel like I read them in essays, but not as much in poetry.
Right.
Hmm.
Awesome.
So yeah,
So,
if you do decide to write a piece like that, I would love for you to like send me a message and
Okay.
let me read this. Yeah.
Well, honestly, my mind's already turning. I don't know when it'll come, but it'll happen. But at least one piece. I don't know if it'll be a constant thing, but poetry, I don't get enough words.
Saul, I love that idea as well. Instead of activists, which
Yeah.
I think we still need activists. We'll forever need activists that will advocate for the well-being of society as a whole. As an economist, looking from my professional side, I'll say that. But how about using a team? Like, how would you imagine a perfect world? That would be
Mm,
a great team for an essay competition or a short story competition rather than a
that would
poem.
be a great short story. Yeah.
Yeah, right. But
Mm.
this is exciting, Sal. We like that you're brainstorming with us. Thank you for your participation there.
One thing I did want to forget about, every Wednesday, I write flash fiction from prompts that are given on Sunday. I stole this from Cassian. Thank you, Cassian.
No.
But because I can focus like that, I accept prompts up until Tuesday, like or Wednesday at, no, whatever, Tuesday at 5. And I send out a prompt email or whatever on a post on Sundays. So anybody that wants to get involved, I'd love to have more posts. There's a couple up there if you want to go back and read them. And I did one with Kristen. I forget, Rooted and Ruin, I think it is. But we did another one there. I love flash fiction, but that still always ties into, you'll read, as you read them, you'll see it's always about activism.
Sal just left a comment. He said, "This is my new dopamine." This is interesting. So I need to get on this. I need to know. So I replace my gym membership with this reading right there.
Flash fiction is amazing because you get to, somebody gives you a prompt in like a genre. For me, it's a genre and either a word or a phrase. And then I just escape for a little while and make a short story. And like I said, I always tie it into my theme of helping the underprivileged, but it always something like that or emotional, those kind of things.
That's a beautiful way of making being stepping outside of your comfort zone instead of just writing for your own personal experience, but being able to be creative and relate to whatever comes in the universe. I think Cassian recently did a prompt like that. He wrote a note, give me a word, any word, and I'll turn it into.
Yeah, he does it pretty regularly, and that's what I got the idea. So
That's
thank
a
you for that.
challenge, right? That is a challenge for him, and I think he activates neuroplasticity because we have to, as writers, be outside of our comfort zone. So that's a great way to tickle your creativity muscle.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
go ahead.
No,
Go
it
ahead.
helps me get new ideas for poems, and it also helps me stay sharp. But Sal is saying that you guys should have a prompt face-off. That would be
Definitely.
interesting.
I'm looking to
Yeah.
do, like I said, I did a collab with Kristen, so I'll get in touch with you, Sal. I love the idea. I'm always looking. There is a selfish part of this too. I love the creativity and all that, and fun, challenging myself to different genres and all the things. But it also, to be honest, it also helps me for Fiverr when somebody comes to me that wants a story about something I've never seen or written, to know that I can sit down and put something out in a period of time that I promise. So I don't want to go in and just say I do it and then it's garbage. I want to know that I can touch people and do those things before I charge for it.
No.
Yeah, I can understand that. Cassian, go ahead. Sorry.
No. You go ahead.
So I feel that we had such a wonderful interview, and I'm so glad that you were able to accommodate us and be on camera. We talked about before that you had your insecurities, and thank you for trusting us and coming here with our amazing audience. Does anybody else has a question? Please ask him before we let the victor go. Anyone? Yep. I messed up my screen. Can somebody tell me?
No, there's no other questions. It's you. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Sal,
you.
and thank
Thank
you
you.
everyone that's
I
listening.
want to really tell you that Cassie and I are very thankful that you went above and been beyond to be here today and to answer our questions, and for being so friendly, so kind, and so open with how you come up with your craft.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And we hope to see more wonderful works from you.
Thank you very much.
Oh, by the way, before you let you guys go, Sal is competing again because he won this challenge. So Cassie and I come up with a little something else because we're always steering some, little things for you guys. So Cassie and I decided that we're going to have the winners tournament at the end of the month, which is going on right now. Elzada already submitted hers. There's some. We have 8 winners, right? So we have the number. The grand prize, second place, and third place, plus the honorable mention.
Yeah.
So it's 4 in each side. So all of you, there's going to be the big challenge. The 8 champions of the month are going to go head to head against each other. So we're really excited. The prize will be $75, another interview and feature. And we can't wait to see what you guys come up with. The winners have received the email, and the prompt is what, Cassian?
Scrambled eggs.
Scrambled
Nice.
eggs. Something daily, mundane, but we want to see how far you guys take it and what creativity, how you guys will embody this poem.
That's awesome.
So we look forward to see what you guys will come up with, and we hope that you guys join us next time as well. Oh, I'll contribute 100.
Oh, wow.
So
Thank you so much, Sal.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sal. So eventually we are thinking, because currently Cassia and I, we give out the payments and the money and the price out of our own pockets, but eventually we would like to see and find a way that we could have maybe a way to people that want to be a part of the challenges to pay $5 or $10 in a way that we can have bigger prizes. Our goal is to have $500, $1,000 prizes, and we want to see you guys really soaring with your writing. I will help.
Thank-
Oh, Sal, we love you. Sal, I'm following right now. I'm subscribing to you. I love it. Thank you guys, all of you there here, and we'll do this again. Thank you for supporting Inkfire and Rebellion. Thank you for supporting Cassian and I in our endeavors and dreams. And we have big dreams and big things that we are building for all of you and this brand. So thank you for being here, Cassian. Send your love.
Yeah, no, thank you all for tuning in. I'm very, very thankful that we have attracted so many diverse voices. So please stay tuned for whatever we have next.
Yes, Sal, we're going to reach out to you. Thank you guys so much. Have a great Saturday. Bye-bye. Bye, Victor.
Bye. Have a great day.